During a family dinner, my sister playfully teased my husband about his labor job, saying, "Just clean my house, I'll pay you well." Hello, I'm Emma. My journey with Jack embodies all that I have ever hoped for. He possesses a remarkable ability to dismantle an engine and reassemble it, all while sharing humor that resonates deeply, leaving you in stitches. 6 years ago, destiny intertwined our paths in a manner that was both surprising and profound. My car came to a halt on the roadside, and it was Jack, the mechanic, who arrived to assist me in my time of need. Even now, I find myself playfully reminding him of that as his choice of pickup line. Jack has cultivated a remarkable standing within our community. He possesses an innate ability to repair anything with an engine, earning the trust of others who entrust him with their most cherished belongings. It fills me with immense pride to refer to him as my husband. As he flourishes in his realm of machinery and oil, I have been diligently carving out my own path in my career. Photography has long been a cherished pursuit of mine, and last spring, I found myself on the cusp of a significant breakthrough. I recently embarked on a journey to establish my own business, focusing on corporate events and professional headshots. My newly established studio was prepared and welcoming, and clients began to arrive steadily. Suddenly, my sister Clara appeared at my studio, as she often does, without any prior notice. She entered with a knowing smile, one that seemed to carry an unspoken challenge rather than a simple welcome. "Oh dear," she remarked, her tongue clicking in a pretense of concern. "Are you still exploring the world through your camera? I had hoped you might have moved on from that hobby by this time." I inhaled deeply, grounding myself in a moment of tranquility. "It's not merely a pastime, Clara," I said, maintaining a calm tone. "I have successfully secured the Timothy Industries account." In a fleeting moment, I caught a glimpse of her true self beneath the facade. Her eyes momentarily reflected surprise, but she swiftly masked it with a veneer of indifference. "Is that so? How intriguing," she reflected. Justin and I were discussing the significance of image in the professional realm. The manner in which she expressed it stirred a subtle unease within me, yet I chose to dismiss it. I ought to have been more aware. A week later, my most significant potential client, Timothy Industries, unexpectedly withdrew their contract, leaving no explanation behind. I felt an overwhelming sense of loss. Perplexed. Then my dear friend Lisa, who was employed in HR at Timothy Industries, reached out to me, her voice tinged with a deep intensity. "Emma, I have just learned of the events that transpired," she said. "Your sister reached out to our marketing team to express her concerns regarding the ethics of employing family members for professional services. That was troubling enough, yet she chose to continue. She presented a few amateur photos, asserting they belonged to you." My hands trembled slightly as I held my coffee mug, a firm yet gentle grasp enveloping it. "What did she do?" Lisa let out a deep, contemplative sigh. "There is more to consider. She quietly proposed that they consider hiring Rachel instead. Her friend has recently begun exploring the art of photography." A wave of unease washed over me. Clara had always possessed a fierce spirit, yet this moment felt intentional, measured, and precise. Her actions were not merely driven by jealousy, they were a calculated move to further her own interests. That evening, Jack discovered me in my home office, my eyes red and puffy from tears. He remained silent initially. He enveloped me in his embrace, holding me close with a gentle yet unwavering presence. "We will find a way," he murmured, his tone calm and resolute. "Your talent and dedication are far too significant to allow this to hinder your path. I will not allow her to undermine what you have created." I yearned to place my trust in him. In that moment, I was enveloped by the profound heaviness of disappointment. My sister had pierced my aspirations deeply, leaving me uncertain about how to mend the wounds it caused. I gazed at my vacant booking calendar, a sense of disappointment quietly enveloping me. "Hey, my steadfast companion," Jack said softly, employing his cherished endearing name for me. "Share your thoughts with me." I inhaled deeply and shared the entire narrative. Each aspect of Clara's disappointment, the contract that slipped away, and the profound sense of helplessness that ensued. Jack listened with a profound attentiveness, his demeanor solemn yet overflowing with affection. With a calm resolve, he retrieved his phone and began to make calls. It was revealed that George, his mentor at the auto shop, shared a friendship on the golf course with the CEO of Timothy Industries. By the end of the week, my contract was not only reinstated, but they had also doubled the number of events they wished for me to cover. Lisa, my closest companion, ensured that Clara's subtle maneuvers were recognized within professional circles. "Lisa shared with me during lunch that your sister seems unaware of the true scale of the corporate world. People converse, and believe me, they hold that they didn't appreciate the miscommunication. The culmination of Clara's plan unfolded when Rachel, the photographer she had sought to substitute me with, came to my studio to express her regrets. Rachel revealed to me with a calm demeanor that she had been unaware of how Clara was interfering in a delicate matter as she shared the messages that had been exchanged. They outlined the complete strategy to destabilize my enterprise. That evening, Jack returned home, a quiet smile gracing his face as he held 4 new client contracts in his hands. It seems that mechanics are well acquainted with numerous business owners in search of skilled photographers, he remarked with a knowing smile. Several of my regulars expressed genuine enthusiasm when I spoke of your work. I embraced him firmly, filled with a profound sense of appreciation. With Jack, connections, and Lisa's unwavering support, my business found its footing once more. That evening, we gathered to enjoy takeout from our beloved Italian restaurant, sharing laughter and memories over dumplings and sweet and sour chicken. After weeks of turmoil, a profound calm washed over me, accompanied by a heartfelt gratitude for those who stood by me. 3 weeks later, during our annual family reunion, the unease with Clara emerged once more. She and her husband, Dr. David, arrived in a sleek new Mercedes, subtly inviting attention without overtly seeking it. During dinner, Clara quietly shared the news that David had just made partner at the hospital, her plate largely untouched. We are considering the purchase of a vacation home in the Hamptons. It is clear how vital it is to cultivate meaningful connections. Our cousin, Laura, ever gracious and sincere, regarded Jack with a gentle smile. How's your work progressing? She shifted the conversation, evoking a sense of appreciation for the family members who hold a special place in my heart. Jack gently clasped my hand beneath the table. He remarked with a sense of pride, his gaze meeting mine, conveying a profound sense of resilience. In that moment, I realized I had triumphed in the struggle that held the deepest significance. I heard you were promoted recently, Laura said, turning to Jack with a gentle smile that conveyed genuine warmth. Before Jack could respond, Clara interjected with a knowing smile. Oh, you remain at that garage? I had anticipated you would have transitioned to a more professional path by this time. David has connections within the realm of hospital administration. Perhaps he could assist you in discovering a meaningful path for your future. The table embraced a profound stillness. I noticed the tension in Jack's grip on his fork, yet his voice held a calm composure. I appreciate the offer, Clara, but I love what I do, he replied with a steady voice, his composed demeanor easing the atmosphere. Working as a mechanic is a commendable profession. Before Clara could respond, George, who served as a mentor to Jack and held a fatherly role in his life, interjected from across the table. Jack has quietly resolved an issue that eluded the so-called experts, ultimately saving the city bus company $70,000. Clara let out a subtle sigh, her gaze shifting with an understated grace. How intriguing. David, I believe you received a call regarding a speaking engagement in Europe, didn't you? Dr. David sat in his chair, a subtle tension evident in his posture. I found it necessary to decline. The moment simply wasn't meant to be. What do you mean you had to say no? Clara's voice elevated, a hint of frustration subtly woven into her words. Clara, maybe we should talk about this another time, David said softly, adjusting his tie with a measured grace. The conversation gradually shifted, yet I found myself observing David as he checked his phone time and again, his demeanor becoming increasingly troubled with each look. Following dessert, Clara calmly declared that they must depart early. David has a significant meeting tomorrow, she noted, searching for her car keys with a calm determination. Some of us carry genuine responsibilities. As they drove away, the unsettling grinding noise of their Mercedes brought an abrupt hush to the conversation, leaving a palpable stillness in the air. Shortly thereafter, the car came to a gentle stop midway along the driveway. This situation is quite absurd. Clara's voice resonated softly, reaching back to the house. David, please reach out to our dealer at your earliest convenience. They are no longer open, Clara. It is Thursday evening. We must take a step forward. Perhaps it would be best to contact a tow truck or explore other options. From the porch, Jack shared a silent understanding with George, their eyes conveying what words could not. As the shadows deepened, Clara's grievances lingered in the air, until Jack, with a calm resolve, gently wiped his hands on a napkin, rose from his seat, and made his way toward them. He called out for a ride home, a hint of amusement barely concealed in his voice. I can arrange for someone from the shop to examine your car first thing tomorrow, Jack suggested, his tone steady and assured. We will not allow just anyone to handle our Mercedes. Clara stood firm, her arms crossed in a silent assertion of her resolve. We shall patiently await the expertise of professionals. I sincerely appreciate it. Lisa, who had been silently witnessing the unfolding drama, leaned in and softly remarked to me, "Karma moves swiftly these days." We departed, leaving them in the driveway, Clara's voice rising steadily as she engaged in a tense exchange with David over the responsibility for neglecting the car's last scheduled maintenance. On the following morning, Wednesday, Jack found himself receiving an unexpected call from David directly. "Jack, I need to talk to you about the car. The dealership will not be able to examine it until next week. I have important patient appointments and Clara is quite upset. I regret having to bring this up, but I will handle it." Jack interjected, his tone steady and composed. "Please arrange for it to be towed to the shop." An hour later, Clara entered George's auto shop with an air of confidence, as if she were meant to be there. Her heels resonated softly against the floor, her gaze steady and profound. "This situation is truly disheartening. Are you aware of the value of this car?" She insisted that Rachel, who had come in with her own car for service, glanced up from the waiting area with a knowing smirk that spoke volumes. It seems that Jack appeared from beneath the Mercedes, carefully wiping his hands on a rag while raising his tablet with a sense of purpose. "Your transmission is experiencing significant challenges and the brake lines have deteriorated considerably. When was the last time it received attention?" "That seems unfeasible." Clara regarded the situation with a subtle disdain. "David manages everything with grace." David adjusted his position, a subtle unease evident in his demeanor. "I wanted to share that we will need to delay some maintenance for the time being. The hospital has been implementing cuts, and with the new house payments looming," Clara turned to him, her voice filled with disbelief. "Could you clarify what you mean? You are a physician. You hold a significant role at the hospital." David took a deep breath and eased the knot of his tie. "Not quite. I was not selected for the partner position. The upcoming speaking engagement in Europe? It was an opportunity for a new beginning, Clara. We find ourselves in a difficult situation." Clara's complexion lost its vibrancy. "This situation is quite absurd. We will simply acquire a new vehicle." David released a subdued chuckle, tinged with a hint of sorrow. "Where will the funds come from, Clara? We have reached our limits. The house carries a mortgage that has reached its full extent. You are engaging in expenditure. Please refrain from placing the blame on me." Clara let out a cry, yet the apprehension reflected in her eyes revealed her true feelings. The shop was enveloped in stillness as the weight of reality became apparent. Jack met George's gaze, and George responded with a subtle shake of his head. Karma unfolded with remarkable swiftness. A lesson in the essence beneath the surface. Clara turned to Jack, her expression resolute. "This might be a misunderstanding. Interfering in a delicate matter. What insight does he possess regarding luxury automobiles?" Before Jack had the chance to reply, George emerged from his office, arms folded across his chest. "Jack possesses certification for premium European automobiles. He stands out as one of just 3 mechanics in the entire state who holds a specialized certification for Mercedes vehicles. Yet, if you choose to decline our assistance," Clara became still. Rachel, having taken in the surroundings with a thoughtful gaze, finally found her voice. "The members of the hospital board arrive here in their vehicles, Clara. That is how I discovered this place. Just last week, Dr. James expressed his admiration for the craftsmanship Jack displayed on his Porsche." David, with a sense of urgency, reached out and grasped Jack's arm. "Could you please make the necessary adjustments? I am preparing for an upcoming surgery. I must maintain my credibility with the board at all costs." Jack maintained his composure. "The components will come at a considerable cost, and it will require several days to ensure the work is done properly." Without a moment's pause, David extended his credit card, embodying a calm resolve in his actions. He remained unmoved by Clara's objections. She stood there, her lips parting and closing softly as if searching for words that lingered just beyond reach. All eyes in the waiting room were drawn to her, including those of familiar faces from her social circle. Her cheeks warmed and she spoke softly. "I will remain in the car." Rachel offered a subtle smile. "I wish you all the best in your endeavors." It remained steadfast. In the following 4 days, Jack devoted himself to the Mercedes, carefully addressing years of disregard with unwavering determination. He surveyed the destruction with a solemn expression, a quiet shake of his head conveying his thoughts. "This car is merely a reflection," he explained. "They have been existing in a facade. David is an admirable doctor, yet Clara led them toward a way of living that was beyond their means." Whispers traveled swiftly among the hospital's close-knit community. Lisa reached out to inform me that Clara had been noticeably absent from the weekly charity committee meeting. There is much discussion surrounding her claims regarding David's role at the hospital. Lisa murmured, the board members' wives are deeply upset. Later, Rachel visited my studio to share an update. Clara has reached out to everyone, seeking to address the situation with care and consideration. However, there is something to consider. Many find themselves deeply moved by the way Jack and David navigated the situation. Dr. James requested that I share his card with Jack. The hospital is seeking a new service contract for its ambulance fleet. A week later, Clara arrived at our home by herself. She appeared transformed. No designer handbag, no meticulously arranged hair. She sat on the couch, her posture unwavering and her expression composed. For the first time, Clara stood bare, unshielded by the facade she once relied upon. I suppose you find joy now, Clara said, her voice laced with a quiet ache. I stood quietly in the doorway, arms crossed, poised for whatever might unfold next. Everything is unraveling, she continued. David believes it is time for us to part with the house, expressing that we must align our living situation with our financial reality. The hospital wives have chosen not to respond to my calls. I held her gaze with unwavering calm. That's not my fault, Clara, she said softly, her fingers fidgeting with her wedding ring. No, it's not, she confessed, her voice softened with a gentle resolve. David presented the repair bill to me. Jack offered a more reasonable price than what the dealership would have charged. He performed admirably. For a fleeting instant, her voice carried a hint of appreciation. Yet, in an instant, her familiar barriers re-emerged. I'm not going to apologize, she said with a calm resolve. I humbly request a favor from you. I lifted an eyebrow, choosing to remain silent. The charity committee is thoughtfully coordinating the hospital's annual fundraiser, she shared. A photographer is required. I maintained a respectful yet resolute tone. My schedule is completely filled. I have recently brought on an assistant to support me with the influx of new corporate contracts. After a moment of reflection, I quietly mentioned that I had heard Rachel is available. Clara held herself still. She gently adjusted the fabric of her off-the-rack dress, a stark contrast to the designer labels she had once worn with pride. Indeed, she replied, her head moving in a measured acknowledgement. Certainly. I believe it is time for me to leave. I observed her as she made her way to her car. Once a symbol of gleaming luxury, it has now transformed into an ordinary Toyota. In silence, she turned the key and departed. Shortly thereafter, Jack arrived in the driveway, his work truck bearing the newly painted logo of the hospital service contract. George had entrusted him with the responsibility of managing the hospital account, and the smile on his face revealed a deep sense of readiness for the task ahead. We are bringing on 2 additional mechanics to manage the workload, he stated, a sense of pride resonating in his voice. That evening, Lisa and Rachel arrived to share in the celebration. We gathered in the backyard, savoring the gentle joy of companionship, shared laughter, and the comfort of takeout pizza. Have you heard? Lisa inquired softly, savoring a sip of her drink. David found the courage to confront Clara. Rachel offered a subtle smile. It is finally here. He is accepting that role in Europe, Lisa continued, expressing that they require a new beginning. Clara stands at a crossroads, faced with 2 paths before her. Accompany him and embrace a life supported by a standard physician's income, or remain here independently. Rachel let out a soft laugh, gently shaking her head. At times, individuals weave the fabric of their own fate. Simply allow them to be. Jack took my hand gently, offering a comforting squeeze. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I sensed the burdens of the past begin to ease. Genuine wealth transcends material opulence. We sat together, observing the sun gently descend beyond the horizon, casting the sky in exquisite hues of orange and pink. In that moment, a serene tranquility enveloped the surroundings, a richness that transcended material wealth. We found no necessity in extravagant cars, high-end fashion, or opulent getaways to affirm our value. What we shared was something profoundly precious. Honor, genuine effort, and those who sincerely valued our well-being. Ultimately, that is what holds true significance. It can be challenging to maintain a sense of self when faced with the scrutiny of others regarding your career, your decisions, or the life you have created. True success lies not in the desire to impress others. It revolves around remaining authentic to your essence. Have you ever encountered someone who failed to recognize your true worth due to your profession or way of living? What approach did you take to manage the situation? Please feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. I would be grateful to listen to your narratives of perseverance and intrinsic value. If this story resonated with you, consider liking, subscribing, and remaining engaged for more profound insights into what truly holds significance in our lives.